Okay, so today we're going to be creating a network bridge in Linux Mint. And so for those who don't know, Linux Mint is just another fork of Ubuntu, which is of course a variant of Debian. So this also works in different versions of Debian as well. It also works up to Ubuntu 16.04. And generally the way is the same for most OSs, but this is just kind of specific to the typical Debian style installation. This also works for even Debian 10 Buster. Okay, so really the purpose of the network bridge is a layer 2 connection between two networks, and it kind of creates almost like a switch, if you will. You can plug in different devices to those different devices being even your Ethernet port, and also tap devices. So there's different reasons you may want to do that. It could be that maybe you're doing some advanced networking. Maybe you need some VMs to be on the same network as your main NIC. Could be that you're doing some kind of virtual routing. All kinds of reasons. Just helps you join networks is the key point here. So what we're going to do today is create a br0, or what we call br0. It could be called almost anything, but kind of like ETH0, right? It's kind of tradition. So the first thing we're going to do, we need to install the utilities that we need. The utilities we need are bridge-utils, and we might need UML utilities, so let's just install those in case we want to do some stuff with tap devices. Okay, so wait for it to install. Okay, now that we have that, we can go and actually edit our network. Okay, so you would do a sudo vi etc/network/interfaces. Okay, and I've already done mine here before I started this recording, but generally the way it's going to look is you probably just have an auto LO and that's it. Okay, by default Mint is going to use the network manager just to basically assign you a DHCP address if it can to your main NIC. So the key thing here is to figure out what you need. Now in my case, notice that the interface I'm referencing is EMP0S3. So the reason you do that, don't just copy my example. It depends on what you have, right? So how do I know what I have? Here, let's make a new terminal here. Just type ifconfig or IPA. You can come up here and see, okay, so here's my NIC, right? EMP0S3. So I know that's what I want. So if I was going to edit that, that's what I did here. Okay, so I added it here, so it's an auto. I also added br0, which we're going to create. In my case, I've already created it. Okay, and after that, you have to specify some control for it. Now, the real magic happens here. So for those who have used Debian, this is a typical kind of declaration for an interface. You say iface br0 inet and then space DHCP. And I'm just assuming that the average user probably is on DHCP. If you're on a data center or dedicated server, obviously it's probably static. So change this to what makes sense for you. But basically, the average home user, even some people at the office, will probably have DHCP. So the idea is to preserve what you have. So you're now basically with this declaration here, bridge_ports is saying that your network interface adapter ENP0S3 is now part of your bridge, and your bridge is called br0. Also keep in mind up here, see I say auto br0. We want our bridge to be brought up automatically when the network starts. One other thing I've done here, and this really depends on your needs, if you guys understand about network aliases in Linux, you can assign multiple IPs in multiple subnets to the same network adapter in Linux by having, it's kind of like a sub-interface basically, or really the term in Linux here is alias. Okay, so I created a new one. I create auto. Yes, it's still br0, but then I have a :0. So that's the alias. When you have a colon, then the number falling after the colon there is an alias, and I call it 0. If I wanted to, I could call this a 1 or 500. It doesn't matter. But for simplicity's sake, generally when we do alias in Linux, just to have a uniform and easy way to kind of follow, then we start with 0. Okay, so that's what I've done here. So auto br0 :0 brings up this alias each time my network is started. So basically we're making it permanent. Each time we reboot, then we're going to have these network settings that are preserved. Okay, and so obviously if you're trying to do more than one network, normally it's going to be static. Okay, so in my case, What I'm trying to demonstrate here is having another IP subnet. That's going to be for some virtual routing that I'm doing. Okay, so I say iface br0:0 inet static. Okay, and the next part I want to do is have my address here. Okay, so I say address 192.168.5.2. Once again, that's the IP address. Okay, so that's going to depend on your subnet or whatever you're trying to reach. In my case, I've decided that's what makes sense for me. And then net mask, right? Whatever your subnet mask is, you're going to enter that here. Obviously for mine it's a /24, right? That's why I have 255.255.255.0 and gateway. And once again, gateway is optional. You may not need a gateway. It all depends what you're doing, okay? So that's just how you do it. So you make your network interface file look like this. Remember, this is in etsy/network/interfaces. And so what a lot of people do when they see different tutorials, even blogs and stuff like that, I've seen people type iface at the terminal, right? They would go like this, maybe even copy this, and so they would think that this is the command, right? So obviously if I go here, type iface, what's it going to say? Command not found, because iface is not a command, right? It's part of the interfaces file, so you know, think of it as almost like a variable. Okay, but now once you've done this, hopefully your file looks like this. Then you should be good to go here. So after what you do to get it up, you just do a service, networking, restart. Okay, and now for a lot of reasons that aren't always crucial, you'll often get this message here where it says that it's failed. You can just check your syslog. You know, it's saying it can't bring up br0, but it is able to. Why do I know that? Because I can type ifconfig. Look, I have br0. Basically, the systemd networking service is just confused, okay? Because br0:0 is not a physical interface, so there's no way to bring it up technically in the same way you would a physical interface, even other than just even your bridge, okay? I guess a way I could test though, I could ping the address it's on, right? It's working. So it is in fact up, despite getting that error. Another thing you could test as well that you should test is you want to make sure things are still working. So I'm assuming that before you did this you had internet and it could reach the outside world. Well, what do I do with telnet to google.com port 80? Okay, so I can reach it. So I know everything's good. If I couldn't do that, then then you would have to do some troubleshooting here. So that's basically the key thing behind creating the bridge. Install those utilities, right, and then make your config file look like this, and you should be good after that, right?